his Little Red book, Harvey Penick talks about how your golf game improves not on a linear level, stroke by stroke, but in plateaus. So say you're stuck here, you hit a lot of slices OB, then you fix that, boom, that's gonna take 5 strokes off your score, 5 strokes off your handicap. In this video, I'm gonna go over all 5 sections of his book to help you get over your plateaus in golf and lower your scores. Let's get after it. All right, section 1 and the first of 5 categories we're gonna go over today are the drills that Harvey Penick likes in his Little Red book. The first of these drills being the slow motion drill. So for the slow motion drill, what you're gonna do is you're gonna pick a spot on the ground. If you don't have a ball, blade of grass, leaf, spot on the carpet in your house, whatever it is, just make sure you have something you are staring hard at. And as I start the backswing, I'm letting my forearms and hands kind of take that shaft to parallel to the ground with the toe pointing to the sky. Once your shaft gets to parallel, once your toe gets to the sky, then you start your turn. As you turn into that full backswing, it says your left heel should just come slightly off the ground. As you start the downswing, your left heel is going to come down and your trailing arm is going to come into your side. Just do that slowly over and over again. He says you want to do that about 4 to 5 times. Each time you do it, you're coming about 1/3 of the way down to the ball. Once you've done that 4 times, you can continue on to your full swing, still going super slow motion. Focus on squaring that club face at impact, going through that target, following all the way through. Make sure your torso follows your arms. He wants a high finish with your elbows high in the air. He recommends doing this 10 to 12 times every day. Now, Harvey Penick recommends doing this drill and other practice with a heavy club. He says if you have a club that weighs over 22 ounces or 625 grams, that's gonna help you teach your muscles and your brain the exact positions that you wanna be in throughout the swing. Next drill he talks about is the bucket drill. Let's get to it. Now, this drill is designed to make all of your movements more smooth. It's to get rid of jerky things in your golf swing. You want everything to be very fluid. Just picture that you're holding a bucket of water. You address the ball, you stare at it down. Instead of just starting right away, you want to do kind of a forward press. So you let it just move forward a little bit. It's easy to go back to the trail foot and your hands will follow your torso. You want your elbows in front of your torso. You're gonna let your left heel rise a little bit. You're gonna let the weight of the bucket come down. It's gonna let your weight shift to your lead foot. It's gonna help your hip automatically turn. Your head's gonna wanna stay behind the bucket as you go through. And then as you follow through and spill the water out, it's either gonna go to the left if you're trying to draw it, or you're gonna spill to the right if you're trying to fade it. You can feel those subtle differences. They're much easier to visualize. If you wanna hit a fade, spill the water to the right in the bucket. If you wanna hit a draw, spill the water to the left. Get that visualization down. Try it with a real bucket. You can really feel it. It makes a huge difference. So those are the 2 drills he goes over in his book. Next topic, number 2 that we're gonna go over is the setup and the golf swing. Let's get after it. So first thing we're gonna talk about is the grip. You want your hands just on the inside of your lead thigh, except for driver and 3-wood. He recommends bringing your hands kind of more towards your zipper. All right, so once you've got that hand position figured out, you need to figure out exactly how you want your grip on the golf club to be. There's 3 different grips he talks about. The first one is called the interlocking grip. So with this one, you're gonna grip the club with your left hand first, and you're gonna take your right hand, you're gonna slide your pinky underneath that index finger and just let it rest in that crook there. Close off your fingers. You want your grip to be in your fingers, not in your palms. Most people with short fingers use that grip. I'm an exception. I have longer fingers and I like this grip the best. Second grip he talks about is going to be the overlapping grip. So you get your left hand on the golf club like this, and then your right pinky, instead of threading underneath there, you're just gonna come sit it right on top there. In his day, he said this was the most popular grip. Ben Hogan, a lot of golfers use it, so it's not a bad way to go. Final grip is the baseball grip or 10-finger grip. It's where you got all your fingers on the club. This grip is particularly beneficial for senior citizen golfers or female golfers, people who have a hard time getting more distance. This helps you get a little more snap out of your swings. If you're wondering what the best grip is for you, grab a yardstick, see how it feels in your hands, and then just transfer that same feeling and grip over to the golf club. No matter which grip you use, let your hands work together, let them act as one unit. Good things are going to happen. Your lead hand should not be, your thumb shouldn't be on top of the shaft. You want it to be to the right a little bit. What that's going to do is it's going to help you stay under the club at the top of your backswing, and that's going to make it a lot easier to square up your club face as you go through the ball. So the last thing he talks about is your grip strength. Sam Snead described it as picturing like you're holding a live bird. You want to hold it tight enough that it can't get away, but not too firm that it can't breathe. So just remember that visual and you'll have a good grip strength. Next up, we're going to talk about our stance and how we address the ball. You want to address it as if you're saying hi to someone, shaking hands with someone. Your trail foot is going to be perpendicular to your target, 90-degree angle. Your lead foot is going to be about 22 degrees open. So easy way to calculate that. That's at the target. Halfway back is gonna be 45 degrees towards the target. Half of that is 22 degrees. That's about where Ben Hogan says you wanna be on your stance. Harvey Penick agrees with this teaching. So the reason you want that trail foot perpendicular is it's kind of gonna shorten your backswing, help you have more control as you come back down into the ball. And the reason that your lead foot is open is that's gonna help you with your weight shift. It's gonna help you with your follow through and really get things turned around, get your torso pointed at the target. If you watch Scotty Scheffler, he's a great example of this. He really opens it up, gets that weight transfer done. That open lead foot helps you accomplish this. So let's say I wanna open my stance. If I'm gonna open my stance, I'm just gonna move my trail foot a little bit further forward, closer to the ball. And when I do that, I gotta make sure that I rotate my hips and my shoulders to match that. Same thing if I'm trying to close the stance, gotta bring my trail foot back a little bit, gotta turn my hips and my shoulders to match that. Okay, that's it for stance, let's move on. Now if you're hitting driver or 3-wood, you're gonna want the ball just inside your lead foot here. It's gonna help you make sure that you're bottoming out behind the ball and you're swinging up on the ball to get maximum distance and consistency out of your driver. As you move back on clubs, 3-wood, 5-wood, 4-iron, 5-iron, 6-iron, 7-iron, 8-iron. So you can see as I did that, the ball's moving back in my stance. Once you get to 9-iron, your ball should be right in the middle of your stance. All right, so we got our ball position figured out. Next thing we're doing with this is the waggle and the practice swing. Now when you waggle the club, the idea is to get the adrenaline going. And then the practice swing, you want to stare down your target. Too often we get caught with our practice swings just mindlessly swinging away without thinking, and that's not going to do you any good. You know, you'll have a couple of great practice swings, you're feeling good, then you step up to the ball and completely botch it. That's because your practice swings, you're not focused enough. Practice swings should be hard. Pretend that you're actually hitting the ball. And when you go for it, just really concentrate on hitting that spot that you're staring at. That's gonna make the real swing easier because you've already completed a couple successful practice swings with a target in mind, with thinking about squaring your club face to that target. Everything that you do when you hit the golf ball, you should be doing in your practice swing. You gotta stare at your target, you gotta focus on squaring your club face. Once you've done that twice, you're ready to take your swing and you know you're gonna get a good result. Next up in the swing, we're talking about the wrist cock. Now he says people hyper fixate on this when there's just several easy ways to get it right. And the first one to get it right, just double up your fists, make a fist with your left hand. That's getting you in the wrist cocked position. If that's not enough for you visually, you can also step up to the ball. So just with your forearms, you want to get that club shaft parallel to the ground. You want to get the toe pointing to the sky. Your wrist is cocked, you're ready to go. If that doesn't work for you, the other thing you can do is just swing with one hand. Just one hand again, gets it parallel. That's automatically going to put your left wrist in that cocked position, and now you're ready to continue with your turn. Next up is the turn. You always want to be staring at that target. He repeats that over and over and over. So get that right. So your eyes are on the target, got your wrist cocked, start the turn. You got to make sure you're turning your torso to follow your elbows. So your weight is shifting onto your trail foot. Your torso's turning, your torso's always facing those elbows. Left heel's coming a little bit off the ground. Then as you start back on your downswing, that left heel comes down, that trail arm coming into your side, torso's turning. Now you're coming down and you're just going to keep turning that torso, following those elbows. Now you're saying howdy to someone on your left. So again, we're going back. Weight shift to trail foot, torso following elbows, left heel off the ground, left heel comes back, trail arm into the side, left hip turns, body turns, square club face through the ball, say howdy to someone in front of you. That's the turn. I know it's a lot. Break it down in little pieces, save this video so you can come back to that, and you're gonna see big differences. Let's move on. So Harvey Penick says you wanna keep your head behind the ball at all times. So when I'm lining up to the ball, here's my ball, here's my head. When we set up, even on the downswing, even on the follow through, watch my head, it's gonna stay behind the ball at all times. That's critical to avoid hitting a weak, ugly slice. We're gonna stand behind the ball, we're gonna pick a target, and we're gonna walk to the ball. We're gonna get a good grip on the club, we're gonna address the ball, we're gonna square our club face to the target and adjust our stance to fit that square club face. We're gonna give it a little waggle and then we're gonna address the ball again. I'm thinking of that bucket of water analogy he gave in the beginning. Now on that backswing, we're gonna get our shaft parallel to the ground. We're gonna get our toe pointed up at the sky. Then our turn starts. We're getting our lead heel up. Our elbows are staying in front of our torso. Starting the downswing, our lead heel is gonna sit down. Our trail arms coming into our trail side. The weight's shifting to that front foot. Our forearms are crossing over as we hit the ball. Our head is staying behind the ball. And we're finishing with our forearms in front. As Golf Sidekick says, titties to the target. Get that torso facing where we want the ball to go. And on that follow through, our balance is going to be on that lead foot. Our elbows are in front of our body, and our trail foot is just a fulcrum to keep us balanced. It's all about teaching your brain, teaching your muscles to remember the feeling of that. So every single night, 10 to 20 mythical perfect swings. Follow that list I went through in this video, save the video. That's a lot of stuff to remember. Another foundation of Harvey's teachings is 1 or 2 things at a time. Don't overwhelm your mind with all these swing thoughts. I recommend saving the video, choose 1 or 2 things to work on. Once you have those really locked in, move on to a couple other things. All right, that wraps it up for the setup and the full swing. Now we're moving on to common problems, common mistakes that the average golfer makes, and how to correct these mistakes. First common problem he goes over is the out to in swing, coming in over the top. A lot of different names for it. Causes a slice, causes a pull, causes all sorts of problems. Happens when you throw your hands at the ball, trying to do everything with your hands, or when you're using too much wrist. You hear them say you're getting too wristy in your swing. That's what that is. You want to use your forearms, just more solid. The bigger muscles, the better you can get away with in the swing. Or if you have a stiff lead-legged impact, that can also cause coming over the top. He's got 5 cures for fixing that out to in swing. The first one is just to try to hit it off the toe of the club, and that forces you to kind of get into a better position. Second one, take 2 balls, put them about 2 inches apart, just focusing on hitting the inside ball without touching that second ball. Now, I like to modify this and put the second ball a little bit behind the first ball. That'll make sure that you're not coming out over the top, because you got to make sure you're getting behind it in order to not hit that second ball. Third one is have someone hold the shaft right here a foot above the ground so that you can't hit that. It's gonna make sure you're coming in behind it. Fourth way, which is his favorite way to cure the out to in, cure the slice, all that, is to make the player hit a hook shot. Here's what you need to do in order to hit a hook. First thing to do when trying to hook it is strengthen your grip on the club. Bring your right hand and your left hand way over here so you're more behind the club. And if you look at what that does to my club face, it's making it easier to close at impact. Next thing you do with that hook grip, you rotate your forearm to the right on the backswing and rotate it, exaggerate the rotation through on the downswing, and that's gonna help make sure you're turning. And you really focus on closing that club face hard. So that's all 3 things: a stronger grip, rotating the forearm, closing the face hard. So do those 3 things, you'll be hooking it. And he says it's a lot easier to fix a hook than it is to fix a slice. Like I said, slicing is caused by out to in swing, so he's kind of repetitive here, but his favorite fix for the slice is the baseball analogy. So you're gonna pretend you're on a baseball diamond, you're at home plate batting, line up your club face like you're just right at second base, line up your stance straight at second base, and just try to hit it over the shortstop. You can do those 3 things, you're not gonna slice it at all. Now you gotta make sure to hit it over the shortstop, you're coming down, you're bringing that trail arm into your side, and that's gonna push your path into out. It's gonna give you that draw every time. Now, if you're struggling with a hook, there's 2 things he has you check. The first one is your grip. So if you're hooking, you may have too strong of a grip, so you're pulling that club head over too much. So the way you fix this is set up your left hand so that V is pointing to your chin or to right between your eyes, and your right hand's doing the same thing. That's a weaker grip. It's gonna be a lot harder to hook and pull the shot when you're in that position. The second thing you wanna do, make sure you're concentrating on your line, and you just wanna clip the tee or brush the grass. You concentrate on those 2 things with a weaker grip, and your hook is fixed. All right, the next problem he talks about is the shanks. So shanks can happen if the ball's too far forward in your stance. If your head's too far down low, it makes you kind of bend your arm at impact, and that's gonna cause you to come out and hit that. So the way he recommends fixing this is place a tee just an inch outside your ball. When you're hitting it, it forces you, you're not gonna hit the hosel. You're gonna be right where you want it, you're right in the sweet spot. So that's the end of our common problems section. Now we're gonna move on to the order of the practice, starting at the cup. Let's get over to that practice green and chat about it. So in his little red book, Harvey Penick mentions how you got to start your practice at the cup. Somebody that starts on the driving range banging away drives, they're not going to see improvement. It's going to take them a long time to get any better. So start on the green, putting and chipping. Let's start with putting. When you're hitting short putts, your focus should be on the line. When you're hitting long putts, your focus should be on the distance. So when you set up to the ball, you want your hands slightly ahead. You want to read the putt from behind, take your stance, play the ball off of that lead heel, and place both of your feet square to the line. Square your putter face to the chosen line. Give that putter a forward press, and then you imitate your final practice stroke. Harvey likes to see the ball die right at the hole. A putt that's going too fast, the hole's only 1 inch wide. Whereas a putt where it dies at the hole's 4 inches wide. There's just a lot higher percentage of it falling if you catch that lip. Let's move on to chipping. Now, he says what you want to do for chipping the ball, you want your hands to be ahead of the ball. You want the club to be close to you. You want to be choked up close to the steel there on your grip. Flex your knees a little bit, weight on your front foot. Your backswing should be the same distance as your follow through. And he says you want to use the lowest loft club possible. So I've got a lot of green to work with. I'm going to use a 7-iron here. Just chip it up and see where it gets us. Pretty good distance there, just pulled it a bit. All right, so then he discusses when to chip versus when to pitch. Chipping you want to do when the conditions are not ideal. So you have a downhill slope lie, your ball's a little buried, it's windy out there, anything like that, you want to chip, keep the ball low, let it roll out. If conditions are optimal and you got a kind of a green light, then you can think about pitching it up to the green. Uphill lie, clean lie, those are the kind of times you want to pitch the ball. Or if you have an obstacle that you got to get over. That's kind of how you make the decision whether you're chipping the ball or you're pitching the ball. So you always want your hands ahead of the ball. You don't want to pull up and out of the swing. You want to come down into it and let that club head come down into it and do the work to get it off the ground. That's chipping and pitching. That's basically every golf shot. All right, next shot he talks about with chipping and pitching is the low spinner shot. So what you do for this shot, you're going to close the club face a little bit, get your weight forward, stance adjusted forward to compensate for the direction of your shot. You're going to clip the ball on the ground at the same time. So we address the ball, hands are high on the shaft, open the club face, shafts point toward our zipper, square stance. We're going to drop that lead foot back a little bit to open up the stance. That's going to square the club face towards the target that we want. Hands slightly ahead of the ball. We're going to do a big full swing, hit a couple inches behind the ball and watch it float out of there. All right, that's it for putting, chipping, short game. He says you should be spending about 90% of your practice on those things though. Really build your confidence in the short game before you move on to your full swing shots. Now when you do get to full swing shots, 6 and 7 iron is your best friend. Whichever one gives you the most confidence, 80% of your practice on the range should be with that club. Because when you get to driver, it's almost the exact same full swing. Only difference is your ball position. So with your driver, you're swinging up on the ball. With your 7 iron, you're kind of coming down on it. So choose a club, 6 or 7, and stick with it. Go hard at it. All right, we've made it to the most important thing that Harvey Penick teaches in his book, and that is to take dead aim. This is all about building confidence. When he says take dead aim, he means that once you address the ball, hitting the ball is the most important thing in your life. Think about that target, think about how you're gonna hit that target, and trust that that's the result you're gonna get. He says even a bad golfer with a bad golf swing can still hit good shots if they have this mindset, because their body is making the necessary corrections to get that ball to go where they need it to go. Take dead aim means you know your target, you're concentrating on your target. It's the most important thing in your life in that moment. Negative thoughts lead to indecision. Indecision is going to make a far worse shot than a confident decision with the wrong club. If you choose a 5 iron when it should have been a 6 iron, but you're confident in that decision, worse off you're going to be is 10, 15 yards longer than you want it to be. It's not a big deal to choose the wrong club. It is a big deal to not be confident in the club you chose. All right, on to the final category, which is preparing for a big competition. His advice is to be yourself, be confident in the preparation you've done, be confident in your swing. Don't make changes to your grip, don't make adjustments to your swing. So you want to do what you always do. You want to take the round one shot at a time. And like I say, the most important thing he teaches, you want to take dead aim. Once you address that ball, that's the most important thing in your life. That's 100% what you need to focus on. As far as before the big round, if you don't have a ton of time to practice, or if you're wondering what you should focus your practice time on, chipping is the most bang for your buck. It's going to get your brain activated, get your brain ready to play. And chipping is essentially a miniature swing, so it's easier to concentrate on getting all your mechanics right with that chipping swing, so that when you go to the mid swing and the full swing, you're getting exactly the results you want. Chipping the ball is going to ready your mind and your body for a successful round of golf, even in big competition. He says in the Little Red Book, the secret to a successful big match is controlled violence. I don't even know what that means, but it sounds pretty awesome. All right, that'll do it for Harvey Penick's Little Red Book. He did include 10 maxims in the book, and I've included those down in the description of the video if you want to take a look at those. I've also got a link to the book in the description if you would like to buy the book. I've also got a link to the outline I made to make this video so you can learn more from that outline. Hit that like and subscribe. We got more practice plans and more book summaries coming up. I want you to let me know in the comments which teachings in this book helped you get over a plateau. See you next time.